Hello and welcome to another Hatecast. Today I'm joined by Russell. Hi Russell, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Excellent.
Good day.
Have you been up to anything exciting?
Been to work today, which actually borderline counts as exciting during lockdown. But today was the last day at school, so playing Cahoots on the whiteboard with kids at school before giving them all certificates and saying, "Now go away for the summer. Have fun with lockdown." Sadly, because we're not in a position to actually put on any summer school for them. But never mind.
Yeah, no, it's a shame, isn't it? Yeah, it's affecting a lot of. I've got a little one myself. I've been lucky enough to have home with me for 4 months. It's been wonderful.
Well, it's got to be done.
It's got to be done.
Can't just chuck them out on the street, can you?
The social services will come and take them away if you do that, and obviously, I'll be very upset if that happens.
Yeah.
But if I watch another episode of, I'm trying to think what I've been watching now with him that he loves. Anyway, that's not what we talk about. Rebels. He likes Rebels. I'm sure you know the format. What we do is we ask you 15 questions that have been selected, plus a special bonus question that's from John, who we interviewed last time on Hatecast.
Oh, not John. Sorry.
He's the best. Ask you 15 questions, including one from John. But if anyone wants to come to Hate and they saw you there at the club, who the devil are you? What would you be doing at the club? What would you most likely be up to? Who are you?
I'm the tall guy with the shaved head who's normally playing Warhammer 40k or Necromunda. And recently I've been playing some Age of Sigmar. They're pretty much the three things I play the most of. Yeah, so Games Workshop's two staples and a bit of campaigny stuff with Necromunda with Rob and Alicia and that lot.
I mean, talking to Dan last time, it's like he plays 40k a lot because it's the game that everyone plays. If you want a game, well, there's going to be someone to play.
Yeah, I know there's for all the faults of the game as well. It's a fun game to play. It's not a perfect game, but you can guarantee you know what you're going to get, and unless you pick completely the wrong person to play against, you're probably going to have at least a little bit of fun. Well,
I hope there's no wrong people to pick at Hate.
No, all the wrong people to pick are at that other place. Who I mentioned?
The Love Club.
Yeah, exactly. Who wants to do there? Ugh, it's nasty.
A vision of like a dark, the Nemesis is somewhere in North London, in a conservative club back room. There is the Love Club.
Yeah, I can just imagine like the polar opposite. I can imagine like Monk and Dan and Toby going there for a game, an innocent game, and then they realise, oh my God, we're surrounded by Tories. What are we going to do?
And then
running straight up the room.
Like really straight laced.
Can you imagine like a straight laced version of Toby?
Monk in tweed.
That's a terrifying thought, isn't it?
Or not.
Yeah, I don't want to imagine that. Actually, I'm going to stop imagining that now. It's quite horrific.
Bizarro Hate Club. If you want to cut this out, Gary, it's too terrifying for the kids to imagine.
It's fairly horrific.
You come to the club with those games, and it's really, we were saying to Dan last time, it's really important that you have an opponent for a game. Of playing the games, you have an opponent, so you're definitely going to get someone to play. So if anyone's interested in 40k, Age of Sigmar, or Necromunda, they can come and have a chat with you, I'm presuming.
Yeah, as long as I don't look too scary. I've shaved recently, so I look a bit smarter. But
you're only mildly scary compared to some of the people at the club. I'm afraid.
That is true, actually. But none of them are actually scary once you speak to them.
Yeah, they were lovely.
Yeah.
Initially. Look at this mug here. That's terrifying.
Well, you're normally near the door, so it's easiest if they just speak to you a lot of the time. And just
hang around by the bar.
I'm in the door and turn left, and Andy's there.
Yeah, it's true. It's the closest. Well, I say it's the closest table to the bar, but that's not true. There are actually tables you can be playing the game, turn around, and order from Saint Mags herself. But let's get this thing rolling. Let's ask some questions. So, nice, easy one. What's on your workbench? What have you been working on?
Well, I've actually sorted out this as a little bit of show and tell. So, can I just show you some assorted bits from my workbench? So, I'm gonna hold them up to the camera, if that's okay. So, I had a Minotaur that I decided needed a new head, so I gave it a claw for a head.
Lovely.
And then I decided he needed a friend. So I gave him a juggernaut head and a claw. And then I decided he needed a friend. So I gave another one a claw. And then I decided they all needed a friend. So I gave another Minotaur a tail. So that's the fun bits. And then my favourite model at the moment is this one, which is, hang on, I had a piece of cardboard here to make this look neater. But now I've got a bit of paper. I'm going to do that. This lovely model from what's that game? Underworld. Is it
Underworld?
But the thing I'm absolutely loving at the moment is I made this guy a scout captain to use with my executioners. I tend to get a bit carried away with rather small scale bits of conversion. So you see us holding a bolt gun. The bolt gun alone has bits from 4 different models and 2 bits of plastic rod I've stuck on him.
Lovely.
And he's got he's then got legs from a Forge-born Goliath thing and a Space Marine torso and Chaos Marauder arms and some green stuff on the back. And it's all sorts of endless fun and games with him. But he's going well.
I wish I had the time to spend more of it doing conversions. I'm always very jealous when I see someone who's taking the time to. Like Toby's always posting up pictures.
Yeah.
Of what he's turned. I'm just like,
it's my favourite part of the hobby. I think a lot of the time, sitting there just making a random new thing out of other bits. So.
Yeah, gotta love it.
So that's all the main bits that I'm working on at the moment. There's a lot more. I actually took a photo earlier that I might just get. I might send to Gary to show the true horror of my workspace.
In the picture that Russell has probably sent you.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's lovely. That is lovely. It is. Wow.
Yeah, it's a bit of a horror show, though. It really is.
This particular.
Yeah. The workbench is a mess at all times, except on those rare days when I decide, you know what, it's too much of a mess. I need to clear it up. But that's not one of those days.
Tidying a workbench is hobby progress.
I see it that way because what I realise is that when I actually tidy the desk, I find things that I need. Yeah. And I make things that I've put on this whole. I have to put that on hold until I find this bit. And yeah, it actually stirs my creativity to find bits that I'd forgotten I owned as well.
I remember I lost my pin drill. So I bought a pin drill. And then I was looking for a job. And then I found a job.
I've lost one of my 3 pin drills. Oh, well.
Tidying my bookcase up upstairs. I found my pin drill on top of some books. And I'm like, what situation had occurred where I picked up my pin drill from my workstation upstairs,
on a book.
took it upstairs, put it on top of my toppest level of bookcase and left it there.
Have you considered the possibility that your son, whose name momentarily escapes me, has actually also been doing a bit of mountain climbing practice, and he put it up there?
Yeah,
William, that's the one.
I don't think he'd be that excited by a pin drill.
Maybe he's excited by your reaction to it, though. Maybe he's a bit more cunning than you think.
Oh, maybe he's like, yes. I want to make sure these models fall apart. That's just he's playing the long game.
Maybe a 4-year-old doesn't think that far ahead, eh?
So what are you going to use those Minotaurs for? Chaos Spawn or something fun?
Yeah, probably Chaos Spawn. One of my absolute favourite things is Slaves to Darkness and The Lost and the Damned, the old Realm of Chaos books. And I've got this ambition that I'm sort of halfway through doing the paperwork for. I'm knocking stuff on the floor. Halfway through doing the paperwork for to reskin Necromunda as a sort of Realm of Chaos sort of campaign-y type game. Mm-hmm. So I've written out a lot of the stuff that would be needed for it. And yeah, now I've got the summer holidays starting. I think I'm going to try and...
Because there were the old campaign rules in the Slaves to Darkness book.
Oh, yeah, but they were borderline unplayable. You had to hack your models apart after every single battle to reconvert them. So they were fun. I used to have many happy hours as a young kid, aged about sort of 11 or 12 years old, sitting there endlessly re-rolling Chaos Warbands from the random tables, which is just the best bit of it. Like the D1000.
Exactly the same thing. I'd roll like 12 mutations and then draw whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's like you realise there's no way I could ever model that in a million years. But I've tried to do it so that you can sort of you roll what stat increase you get, and then you can choose an appropriate attribute to see how you would model that stat increase or whatever. So if you get extra attacks, you might do it with the tail. Or you might do it with an extra arm, or you might do it and just say, "Oh, he's extra fast," and don't want to model that one. So Might work. You never know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I look forward to hearing all about it. Sounds good. So as we got on your workbench, it's Chaos and Space Marines. Are you
Chaos, Space Marines, Undead, Eldar, but I'm not working on them at the moment. I just haven't put them away yet because they're all finished. I finished a project.
It happens.
I know, not very often, but it happens. Yeah.
So is that, these Marines, is that in preparation for 9th edition?
Well, it wasn't, but now it's sort of converted in my head that it's going to have to be, because I was doing my executioners for the slow grow that me and Gary and Jack's been involved a little bit as well have been doing. Rick mentioned it in his video, but I've been doing my executioners for that.
Mm-hmm.
Also as preparation for the hopefully it's going to happen Badab weekends that Ian's been speaking about.
I played for Badab.
Badab's one of my major motivators for everything. So yeah,
that should be
I'm
good.
sure it'll happen. Ian's quite good about actually organising things. So
he is very good. He's always bugging me to get me involved, and I'm always letting him down because I'm useless. I've not been reading any of the sneak releases about 9th edition, but is there any rules there that have got you particularly excited? I'm sure everyone else out there has been watching all the videos from Warhammer that have been dropping.
I think the thing that makes me most interested is the way they've changed the way you structure your army. So instead of sort of building from and trying to include as many detachments as possible to get as many command points as possible, now you want to try and do it with as few as possible to lose as few as possible. So it actually makes you, it's sort of a nudge towards single armies rather than soup armies, and it's a nudge towards a more sort of natural order of battle, that you don't leave out troops and you don't just have nothing but fast attack, etc., while still you can do those things if you want to. So I'm quite enthusiastic about that bit.
Like there's a certain number of Imperial Guardsmen that everyone took just to get the command points.
Which I don't play competitively particularly. I've played 1 or 2 events, but never anything super competitive. So I don't really have to put up with that sort of thing at the club. But even then, there's that element of, well, how competitive versus how non-competitive should I be? And it makes it a bit more of a struggle. So anything that sort of levels the playing field at least a little bit towards what you'd have in a narrative game, being not the same as, but similar to what you'd have in a competitive game, I think can help different types of players have common ground a bit.
Yeah, we all know that 3rd edition was the best, so let's just move on to the next question.
I'd go so far as to say that 2nd edition was the best, and that Rogue Trader had its own special, unique charm.
Well, I bought my guy. Let's roll the dice to see what he's equipped with. I've got a web pistol and a displacer field. And
I never actually went that far. I was only I only ever played a handful of games of Rogue Trader because I was very young still when the 2nd edition came out.
Yeah.
But I played a handful of games of Rogue Trader, mostly on my friend's floor, and we didn't stick strictly to the rules, let's say, but we pretty much took what we wanted instead of what the random tables told us to.
I discovered reading the rules that blind missiles are the best thing ever because if you didn't have auto sensors, the flash would just kill you instantly because it knocked you out. It's just a ridiculous weapon.
The other one, you remember the infamous
no fun for my opponent.
You remember the infamous virus grenade that could kill an orc army in one shot? Yeah, saw that happen once. We just said but actually let's just carry on playing because that wasn't fun. So
next question, here we go.
Yeah,
what are you reading at the moment apart from reports?
I'm writing them, unfortunately. No, I just finished writing them on Monday on my birthday, so never mind.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. I just threw it in there so you could say happy birthday to me.
Did you get the cake?
Yeah, my wife made me a very delicious carrot cake, and a friend bought me brownies. So yeah. There's only one slice of cake left, unfortunately, so I had to go and fight my wife for it later, or share it like you meant to do, or something. I don't know how that's meant to work.
Tell her she can have it.
So anyway, though, reading. I have just finished rereading Mark Lawrence's first series, Prince of Thorns, King of Thorns, Emperor of Thorns, which I know has been mentioned in the Hate Reading group. That's an awesome series of books. And I've just then I flipped to Inferno for a while. So I've been reading all the short stories in the Inferno omnibus that they're putting out again.
Yeah.
But now that it's out, I thought I'd better get round to reading Saturnine, the Dan Abnett one for the Siege of Terror, which I know you're probably looking forward to from what you said in Rick's video as well.
No, I'm just trying to find the time.
Yeah.
I'm halfway through reading the Horus Heresy books, and a bit of me is like, I don't want to jump ahead to the Siege, because I'm sure there's things from the books.
Yeah.
I've got like 20 odd books to read, because...
Well, do you read all of them, or do you skip some of them?
No, I've read every single one, up to... I'm ages behind. I'm still halfway through Primarchs.
I've started every single one of them, but I skipped about 3 of them when I decided I just couldn't bring myself to suffer through certain books.
Well, I read Battle for the Abyss.
I think I stopped about halfway through that. I stopped about halfway through Mechanicum.
Didn't like Mechanicum?
No, which I know is unusual. I think I'm in a bit of a minority on not liking that one. And what was the other one I just couldn't read? There was another one. Oh, it was a Gav Thorpe Raven Guard omnibus collection of like novellas and stuff. Which was I've met Gav Thorpe and he's a lovely, lovely guy. And some of his books I can read, but some of his books I just can't.
I said this in the previous episode. I read the Primarchs book. I started like a year and a half ago, and I got to the one about Ferrus Manus.
I haven't read that one. I don't think. I've read about 5 of them. It's Nick. You said it was time, I think, didn't you?
It was so awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was so bad. And I was like, and now it's got onto one about Dark Angels, My Legion, and I still haven't been able to bring myself to read the next. I'm still like.
Now the first Dark Angels one in the Horus Heresy series, I think it was like Angels of Caliban or something like that. Mm-hmm. That was an appallingly bad book, but I forced myself to read it because I wanted to know about Lionel Johnson.
Yeah.
I can't call myself Lion L. Johnson. I have to call him Lionel Johnson.
It's
obviously, yeah. Yeah, so it's who he's named after. It has to be just Lionel Johnson.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the Horus Heresy series in general, but mainly because I allow myself to skip the crap ones. Some of them are bad.
It's not in my nature to skip the crap.
The ones by Dan Abnett, of course, are amazing. Aaron Dembski-Brown are brilliant. And my absolute favourite ones are all of Chris Wright's ones. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole bunch of others that are often good. Like Graham McNeil is normally good. John French is normally good. Yeah. But there's some stinkers in there as well that people have only written like 1 or 2 in the series. There's one.
The something of Pythos or something is another one that's supposed
Damnation at Pythos or Damnation of Pythos.
Slower one.
Yeah,
Pythos, I think it is.
I think I just about finished that one, but it was difficult.
So Saturnine, cool.
Yeah.
We actually have a hate book club, don't we? I'm not a member myself.
Yeah. So I keep meaning to try and read the book of the week, but not had time to actually concentrate on reading one particular thing for that, mainly because work has still been going on through lockdown. But now it's the summer holidays. I should try and read the next one, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I literally now, my reason to get up in the morning is so that my wife doesn't get annoyed at me and so that I can go for a walk and actually structure my day in a sensible way.
Always annoyed with me. It doesn't matter what time I get up.
Yeah. Yeah. If I get up early, I'm in trouble for being too noisy. But if I get up late, I'm in trouble for she gets jealous.
Yeah.
And if I get up at the same time, I'm in trouble for being in the way.
Yes. Well, clearly you're married. I know this very well. Up early. Why haven't you started breakfast?
Well, yeah.
I didn't know I was supposed to.
Yeah, I didn't. You don't normally until after. But okay, sorry.
Considering how long I've been chatting for already, here's another long one for you.
Okay.
What does gaming mean to you?
Okay, so I wrote notes for this one, and I wrote a list of words because I thought about this one. I think this one's a really important question. Is it
a game of conscious, jam?
Yeah. So I've written this list of words. I'm going to say creativity, imagination, escapism, personalization, converting, and I realised as well something about me, collecting.
Yes.
I'm a big collector. I don't care what anyone says. I just like to be able to, and I could point the camera at it and show you my Space Marine bits box. You know, those very large extra size army cases that Games Workshop did that had double size of the normal one. I have one of them. That's my Space Marines bits box.
Oh, the Office Brew.
Yeah, it's a bit silly, but I just love having the stuff. So that's part of it for me. I've got past feeling bad about not painting it all. I know that I need to paint on a regular basis to justify
joy.
And I enjoy painting. I'm lucky. I'm one of those people who does enjoy painting, and I enjoy converting. But I also realised just because I can't paint fast enough doesn't mean I have to feel guilty about owning stuff. I just like having some of it. So that's me. Hell with Marie Kondo. She can go jump off a bridge. She doesn't bring me joy. She can jump off a bridge.
Yeah, no. There's definitely, for me, it's so many factors. It's a community.
Yeah.
The creativity. The collecting. You're right. There's so, and then the actual playing of the games. I found during lockdown, it's got me I've got quite sad about not playing the games, and it has affected my motivation to some degree. For painting, because I paint to play games, and it's like I want to see everyone, and play a game. But it's like
it's not the games I miss so much as seeing people, actually, because I think one of the things I've really enjoyed actually during lockdown and it's not been gaming as such, but it's been Hate Club, it's been all the hobby hangouts, and one thing that's really I've not been able to get to a hobby hangout for about 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's actually a bit frustrating. And it's not the games I missed, it's just chatting. And like, some of the people who are on there on a regular basis, some of the people I like to chat. There's some of the people who I like to chat to are not on there as well.
Yeah.
But some of the people who are regularly on there are a lot of people I like to have a regular chat with and just catch up on how they're doing,
Like Ed, we haven't said hello to hi Ed.
Hi Ed. Yeah. 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 I actually, I've got something ready to show later, mentioning Ed, for when you ask about artists and stuff. I've got my lovely books of his here to show off when we talk about artists.
Ed, you could probably ping him a message and ask him about buying those books, I'd imagine.
Say again? Oh, anyone who's watching?
Yes, could probably message Ed or contact him.
Yes, you could message Ed, and you could see some of this wonderful artwork, which is in a very Kevin O'Neill, early Mike McMahon from 2000 type style, and very lovely artwork and a wonderful story. And you really ought to contact him and get yourself some.
I actually have a commissioned piece of artwork that Ed did me.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Can I top that? I know this isn't the question, but can I top that? Can I show off?
You've got like his ear.
I haven't got anything commissioned from Ed, but I have got something awesome from a cool artist. Can I jump ahead with my show and tell?
Let's save that.
Okay.
We'll get to what artists have inspired us.
Okay, because that's what I was worried about. I didn't want to jump ahead too much.
Really appropriate to show out. We can't really talk about what gaming means to us.
Yeah, sorry. I should stay on topic, shouldn't I?
Yeah, I know. Like, because everyone before has.
No, they haven't.
No, they haven't. They really haven't. The questions are a framework, really. It's more of a list of suggestions.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely community, isn't it? I mean, that's what we all miss being at the bar.
One of the things that I think's a big part of the community as well, but she's not part of the gaming, obviously, and people have mentioned in other videos, is Mags. Because I think
my mind, as Elvis Presley said.
Yeah, and I think it's a shame that I'm glad that I'm friends with her on Facebook, just so I see her posting random stuff and Monk getting on her case about some of it every once in a while.
God bless Monkey.
Yeah. Bless him.
Yeah, no, we all miss Mags. It'll be good to be back, and
Steve as well, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
You made me a cup of tea once. I like Steve.
He made you a cup of tea. That's big.
Yeah, either that or he let me in the back room and I made it myself. But one of the two. I got a cup of tea out of it. That's what mattered.
He was in the room when I made a cup of tea.
Yeah, something like that.
He was swearing at me about something while I made a cup of tea. That's what actually happened.
Yeah, something along those.
Anything else you want to talk about? What gaming means to you? Anything else you want to say? You don't have to.
No, I don't know. I just my little list of words there, and I think the one I didn't put on there, partly because so many other people have said it, and I think that's the thing I wanted to mention. The reason I didn't mention community is because I think so many other people have already mentioned it, and I wanted to be different and stand out and look unique and clever and special.
You do all those things already. You haven't got to worry about that.
I have charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent.
Talent, absolutely.
There we go.
There's a section at the end where we talk about RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 5.
Okay. Oh God.
It was a travesty.
I haven't actually. I'm well behind. I haven't watched the All Stars ones, and I actually haven't seen the last series. I'm about a series, and I'm about a series. I believe I'm one series behind because my wife sort of got tired of it because we'd watched so much of it, and I need to sort of catch up in my own spare time now on holiday.
I think in some ways I do prefer. Me and my wife watched it, and we binged the first like 8 seasons.
Yeah, I think me and Claire did.
And then now we watch it when it comes out. It's like, I've got to wait a week.
Yeah, I prefer binging it because I forget what's happened if I don't binge it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Last season, now they also have the Untucked, which is the behind-the-scenes chats.
Yeah.
So they released it, and then later on now they've released the Untucked, which is them talking about the results, who got sent, who got eliminated, which I think adds a little bit to it, a bit more behind-the-scenes look. Important. And that's what gaming means to me.
That's what gaming means to me. Thank you, RuPaul.
Yeah, no, I feel a lot of pride as well when for the club when I look at the web, on the Facebook page, and I see what people are doing, and not recently because we've all been locked in, but when people go to tournaments and they do when they win the most important prize, best sportsman.
And I think, as well as best sportsman, even, I think one thing that's really important to me. So my wife is part of like London Roller Derby, and she's a big part of the roller derby scene, and that's a community as well, which tries to be really, really inclusive, and they put a lot of time and effort into. I think they are naturally quite inclusive, but they don't just rest on that. They try and think about how to be inclusive, and like she's been at a workshop tonight, actually thinking about how to try to make sure that they, think carefully about, Black Lives Matter, but also other things as well. And it's nice that I kind of feel like the same about hate. I think it's really important, actually, to me, to belong to a club that actually has a bit of a social conscience.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily want it rubbed in my face every 5 minutes as part of my gaming experience, but I wouldn't want to be at a club where I felt uncomfortable about things that people were saying, because I think that would spoil the gaming for me as well,
I know. Every so often I dip my toe into social media and look outside of our club, and I'm usually horrified. There's people saying terrible things, and then the moderators are going, "We have a neutral, no talk about politics policy
it's
here."
Not politics, it's human decency.
She's just going to let this person say these things.
Yeah. It's not politics, it's human decency is often what I come back with. It's not actually politics, because human politics is not about whether we're all human beings. This is a human decency issue. Everyone has the right to be treated respectfully, and that person's not doing it, and they're falling back on we have to tolerate their intolerance is just a nonsense. Yeah, I hate it.
So we're going to go and protest out in the streets, I think, now, Russell.
I've actually got a pan to bang.
Yeah. I'm going to go and protest.
Well, should we say 15 minutes or keep it down to just 10, and we'll be back?
We'll be back from our protesting.
See you in a minute.
See ya. And we're back from our protesting. I went down quite well, actually. The people of Poplar were quite pleased to see me out and about.
I think I popped my elbow banging my pan so hard.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm sure I'll be able to paint again soon.
That's not a metaphor, is it?
No, I was going to say wrist, and I just thought that sounded a little bit too dodgy, so I said elbow instead. There we go.
And on that bombshell, we didn't have a break. Let's start here. We talked a little bit about this already, but what artist inspire you? Now I'm going to guess Ed from the club inspires you.
Ed, I have got. Yeah, I showed these already. I'll just briefly mention that you can always contact Ed and get these at a very reasonable price, especially if you buy them all as a set.
Yes.
He actually I think my earliest artistic influence.
Oh, you wrote
Neil. Mike McMahon are two particularly good artists from there. Simon Bisley was always a favourite.
Yeah.
Oh, that beat strangely. Yeah, Simon Bisley and his black and white stuff. But I think the first artist who ever had a huge influence on me, I've actually brought the book to show the front cover of it, and I might have to hold it from the camera because it's quite big, is this wonderful, wonderful book. So when I was at university, I developed an interest in Japanese history.
Yeah.
And I was walking through the high street in Rochester past the Baggins Bazaar bookshop, which claims to be the largest second-hand bookshop in the country. And I saw this in the window for 40 quid.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And I'd already spent all of my money in the world. and I was about 75 quid from the end of my overdraft, and I'd maxed out my credit cards. So of my last 75 quid in the world, I went and spent 40 of it in this book, and it's probably 40 of the best quid I've ever spent. It's the art, the woodblock print art. It's just become something that I've loved ever since. And I think it was one of the things that led me towards living in Japan for 2 years. So that's outside of gaming. That's my big influence. But can I show off now with my my fancy bits?
I would
not those fancy bits.
Fancy bits.
Okay. I've got something really. This is one of my favourite things. Actually, I'm going to save this one for last. I'm going to come to my second favourite. I have downstairs a signed copy of Ratspike by Ian Miller, but I've also got some actual pages of Slaves to Darkness that I cut out of my spare Slaves to Darkness and framed it to hang up on the wall. My wife doesn't like this at all.
But who would? I mean, I would, but my wife would be equally horrified if that was hanging on our wall.
But this is my absolute wonderful piece. This is something John Blanche drew for me. So John Blanche drew this for me as a gift because I helped him organise a raffle and the
raffle,
and an auction. And he said as a thank you, I sent him a photo of myself and my wife already dressed up in ready to go to what's it called? The one with the it's completely gone out of my head. The one with the
wedding.
It's gone out of my head. No, the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
No.
How can I forget that? Anyway, so then he turned that into a little Necromunda. He turned that into a Necromunda image of me and posted it to me. So I framed that, and it takes pride of place. Normally up there somewhere.
Absolutely.
And that's so. I think two of my favourite sort of hobby artists are them. And apart from that, I think a lot of people have spoken about artists, but non-model painters. There's one in particular that I love. I want to mention, who I only ever saw a few pieces of back in White Dwarf, back in issue 110-ish, was Frances Eliard, who you would never see. And I'm assuming from the way the name is spelled that it's a she actually, but I don't know for sure because it's Frances with an ES at the end. All the models were actually. None of them were painted in regulation, like regulation codex color schemes. Absolutely wonderful. Just sort of taught me a lot about how to put colors in places you wouldn't expect them, and not just have plain surfaces, and have different bits of color all over the place. So can I just stop for 1 second? I need to just answer my wife very quickly. Sorry. Is that all right?
I mean, we get Gary to edit this out or leave it in if it's funny.
If it's funny, I don't think it's going to be funny. Sorry. Claire, did you call me? Didn't feed the cat.
Has it eaten someone else?
He's eaten my wife's leg.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Is this the time to mention that when you leant back, I could see you were wearing no trousers?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not wearing any trousers, actually. Look, I'll even show you my naked leg. There we go. There's my naked leg.
I believe the term is trouser cucking.
Yeah, no, they're shorts, don't worry. They're not shorts, don't worry. I am, however, wearing my lovely...
I know, I've just got a plain old
Kate's T-shirt. Yeah, I thought I'd dress appropriately. So
we'll let Gary cut that bit out.
I think so. I think we should cut that bit. Yeah.
And
What's next?
What's next? Yes. What's your favourite genre of films?
Now, I was expecting this question as well, and I realised I haven't got a clue. So can I just tell you my favourite films instead of telling you an actual genre?
Yes, because genres are ridiculous anyway.
Yeah, I couldn't work it out. I don't know what genre any of these belong to in the first place. I'm just going to say 5 films, and I don't think they're very similar to each other.
Films.
So, Remains of the Day with Anthony Hopkins and Emma Thompson.
Horror.
Spirited Away.
Comedy.
Mainly because it makes me all nostalgic for Japan. Gattaca. Mad Max Fury Road because it's mental and I love it. And Karate Kid. So I've been on a massive Cobra Kai fix recently. Karate Kid.
Cobra Kai, so don't spoil it for me.
You've got to watch Cobra Kai. I think it's going to be on Netflix instead of YouTube soon. So watch it all when it comes out. You can binge watch it in a day. It's brilliant.
And then I will watch it because I haven't.
Yeah. So those are my 5 favourite films, but I wouldn't have a clue of how to sort of decide a genre.
attracts you to a film? What is it? You know, visual, storytelling, actor.
I reckon I've thought about this in the past, actually, not just for books, but for sorry, not just for films, but for books as well. And I think it's about when a character goes on a journey and they actually have like a change. So like in Gattaca, it's not about the main character and his change so much, but the secondary character who's in the wheelchair, who I forget the name of the actor as well. Jude Law, yeah. His character and his journey of his character is a really good arc. Mad Max in Fury Road, I think he's got a good arc in that. Even though he hasn't got the main sort of plot, and he's sort of tagging along with Imperator Furiosa's plot line. He's, again, I think, though, the one who actually has a bit of...
40K name in any movie.
Yeah, it's such a good name, though. And then Karate Kid, I think, Daniel grows up. Remains of the Day, I think it's such a sad ending. I don't know, for people who haven't seen it, I won't spoil it.
Yeah.
But I think that's just one of the best endings of a film ever.
Karate Kid, when I watched as a kid, it was all about Daniel.
Yeah.
Now I'm growing up, I'm
Johnny.
Like, oh, my goodness. Mr. Miyagi.
Mr. Miyagi, okay.
It's like Mr. Miyagi's story is like this movie is actually about Mr. Miyagi
in a way. But you know what? Actually, one of the best things about Cobra Kai is seeing it all from Johnny's perspective.
Yeah.
And actually, that's one of the things I love most about Cobra Kai is how you see how actually we saw like one or two stories in that film. We saw Daniel's story, we saw Mr. Miyagi's story, but actually there was a whole other story there that was Johnny's story. And actually, Johnny's story in a way was in some ways more interesting.
He'd been trained
everything that happened because of everything. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I just think it's brilliant. And actually, I think my favourite movie is Spirited Away. And have you seen Spirited Away?
I have, yes.
Yeah, and I love that movie partly because of the nostalgia, but partly because of Sen Chihiro. Just the journey she goes from being a whiny little brat at the start of it to this sort of taking responsibility and saving her parents at the end, and just wonderful. I just think that's what draws to a movie is a character arc that you actually watch development in them.
You won't have seen our conversation. I had a conversation with John.
Hi, John. Hi, John. Hello again. I was being mean earlier, but I didn't mean it.
Studio Ghibli, and I mean, I love Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
There's such a good movie in Spirited Away. It's fantastic. Absolutely.
It's one of the very best.
One of the best.
Yeah.
So I guess there's not anything you really bring from those movies to your games, or do you try and sort of bring in sort of more narrative style?
No, I think it's the narrative side of the game that appeals to me. So I showed you these two models earlier that I'm building, and they're completely non-stock models, and I think a lot of it is about I'm trying to, when I'm building something a bit like this, it's even about the pose of just like what the pose tells you about the model, and then I like a sort of campaign where they grow and they get abilities as they go, and I like that story to develop.
Yeah, that's very much about building a gang and developing it.
Yeah, exactly. I love that side of it.
Here's your army. You play a big game.
I mean, I enjoy 40k anyway, but I enjoy it so much more when there's a story. So years ago, when the club was fairly young, we had a bad ad campaign back then, and Ian gave, I named one of my characters. I named him Chaplain Deros, and Ian gave him the name Stanley Deros, and put a spin from the opening credits of Porridge onto him because he was playing Arbites and wanted to come and arrest my chaplain for crimes and not paying his taxes. And suddenly he was actually, from then on he was Stanley Deros. Changed the spelling to fit in with 40k a little bit better, but I just love that side of a story where good things happen to them, bad things happen to them, and it's how you sort of roll with the breaks and turn that into an actual
when people say, we need to work on forging the narrative in the game, and I'm like, well, I've always done that. It's always happen, but if you roll badly, I'll make up some story. Oh, he slipped over. He's clearly falls over, and
it's rainy. It's rainy weather. It's rainy weather. He couldn't help it.
It's raining. Yeah, it's raining. Why is it raining? Because the weather station satellites. You start making us. I have no idea what's going to happen in the game. But the dice rolls create a story, and
and sometimes the story frustrates me. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. Sometimes it's frustrating as hell that you think you've had all the bad luck, and now it's time for the glorious. Comeback kick and the crane kick or whatever, and then you roll the dice and you still roll a 1 and you just lose, and it's like, oh crap.
You never roll 1s until you really need that 6 because it's a morale check.
Yeah.
Saving them up for the morale checks.
Yeah, exactly. Always the way. Oh, dear.
So, what makes you build a force for a game? What makes you, actually go, right, no, I'm going to build Goliath, so I'm going to build Elder, or whatever it's going to be. What makes you choose a force and go, that's the one I'm going to build? Is it rules? Is it models? What makes you?
Mostly it's the Badab War. I think that's my favourite bit of fluff. So I'm building like armies for all the secessionist sides of the army for the Badab War. But I think actually a more general answer would be, a lot of the time it's the fluff. So, the Badab War I just think is the best bit of Space Marine background. So I tie all of my Space Marines into that.
Yeah.
And good. Then, Necromunda as well. Yeah, it's a lot of the time it's which gang do I kind of feel the vibe and want to tell a story. So I was actually ended up playing Necromunda Genestealer Cults this time.
Yeah.
Just because I kind of had this story sort of start popping into my head that I could tell with them. Eldar has been I've probably got more Eldar than anything else. And a lot of that comes from the stuff that was in White Dwarf. I think it was around White Dwarf 127, if I remember rightly, when they brought out the new Aspect Warriors and all the Jess Goodwin art. And I always, partly because I love his art, but partly because we share a surname just by pure coincidence. Jess Goodwin actually was always a favourite. In addition to John Blanche and Ian Miller, Jess Goodwin was. I used to literally sit down and just copy Jess Goodwin's art because I could never copy Ian Miller and John Blanche, but I could reproduce Jess Goodwin's art without producing anything that looked like it myself. And it just the imagination just triggered, and I just had to buy up all the Eldar, and I think I own about 3/4 of the Eldar in the UK. So I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not as much as I should be.
Well, you can play Epic using 28mm.
Epic was my favourite game of the big three when I was a kid, because I used to play 40k and my mate Space Marines would always beat me Eldar every single time. And then we'd play Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and he never figured out that I always loaded up my entire army on one half of the board and then rolled up his line. But Adeptus Titanicus and Space Marine and that stuff, we actually had about 50-50 win percentage.
Yeah.
And so that was the one that really sort of fired my imagination and really made me think, right, how am I going to beat him this time? Because at 40k, I pretty much gave up before we started.
Yeah.
And at Warhammer Fantasy Battle, he never seemed to. He was good at all of these games, but somehow just never figured out this one trick I was playing on him in Fantasy Battle.
Yeah.
You
can act so much quicker in a game of 40k than you could in, I don't know how it is for Age of Sigmar now, but with the big units, you kind of have to plan ahead because you can't react as quickly with a big block of units as you can with.
Exactly, and I normally felt like we'd do our deployment, and I'd feel like deployment would finish, and I'd feel like I'd won already.
Yeah.
Whereas 40k, it was the opposite, because I'd see this we'd set up our 40k tables the same way as our fancy battle tables with a huge empty space in the middle, and my Eldar without any tanks would try and run across the ground to attack his Space Marines, and his Marine gun line with the Dreadnought and a lot of Devastators would just shoot the crap out of me, and I'd lose every time.
Either way,
I didn't really have much of an idea of strategy, and I didn't notice. You know what we should do? We should put some terrain in the middle of the table as well.
There was a definite point when I was a kid. I mean, I say kid, when I was 18. I remember being 18 and having no idea about optimized army lists.
No.
I would just go and get things that were cool and give people. I wouldn't look at the weapon profiles and work out which was best. Now I do.
Here's one of my Howling Banshees from that era, actually, just randomly also on my workbench. And those are amazing models.
Yeah.
But they were just as crap then as they've been through most editions. They could never get anywhere near his Space Marines to do any damage.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I picked him every week, but they look awesome.
They're awesome.
They look amazing. They're beautiful models. I still maintain to this day the best Eldar models are the ones that Jess Goodwin designed in the early 90s.
Yeah.
To this day, I don't think they've been topped.
Yeah. I agree. I think, I remember that White Dwarf issue, the sketches by Jess Goodwin, I think.
Beautiful. I've got his sketchbook on the shelf as well, actually, and that's a beautiful, beautiful book as well. Wonderful book to read.
So, what did you say? What was the reason you'd build a force? I can't remember. It was
mainly background, mainly just what it triggers in my head, like the fluff and the imagination of like, oh, who's this guy and why is he there and what's their relationship here and why is he like that, and just coming up with all the story. If I can't feel the story in my head for an army, I don't want to play it. It's got to be in my head as well as
I can never bring myself to play Tau.
I don't think I could. Or Necrons, actually.
Or Necrons.
couldn't play Necrons just because I don't think I would. Maybe actually, if I could get inside the head of one of the HQ characters, I could just about do it. But I think I can only. I used to play orcs a little bit as well, and I sold most of my orcs to Rick because I was never going to get them painted, and I thought, I know, I'll give them to Rick and he'll paint them all. He hasn't yet, of course.
Well, I have a small 10 figures for Kill Team Necrons.
Yeah,
I painted them like rusty, and they're like half broken, and I think they're literally as like undead robots. So there's no getting inside their brain; they're just like shambling along, like a horror movie.
Yeah, no, with the weird thing, I like them as an enemy. I think Necrons make a fantastic army to play against in terms of they look like this terrible, implacable foe.
Yeah,
they just don't fire off in my own head that I want to control them. I want to fight against them instead of with them.
Dan Takari.
Yeah.
Me with Tyranids, when you name the HQ, you don't give the names yourself. Your opponent names them, so it's like Beast of wherever. So your opponent's given the name to that creature because to them it's just like a sibilant hiss.
Yeah.
They have a name. They don't have a name. They wouldn't even have a name. They'd just be a thing. So you have to give a name that is actually the name the other people. The Beast of Bodmin Moor.
I was thinking of the Beast of Carthage, but yeah, Bodmin Moor, that works as well.
So yeah. Anyway, so what is your next army project?
Well, I've got to finish any of the ones I'm already. I can list the ones I'm currently doing, and that's the more of the problem. There's always the next one.
Those ones you're working on.
So I actually think.
What would you like to do next? Let's ignore the ones you're working on. Let's wish.
The next thing I hope to start is probably going to be Primaris Howling Griffins.
Do you know what? I have plans to do a Howling Griffins army for about 20 odd years, and I have managed to not paint one.
I haven't done any test models yet. I think I'm trying to discipline myself to finish my executioners, and then I'll probably allow myself to do some Howling Griffins test models. And I feel like my favourite colours to paint are yellow and red, which is probably a prerequisite for painting Howling Griffins, obviously. So I feel like I'll enjoy painting them, even if I don't paint them very fast. I think that's got to be an important thing.
I have heard, and I don't know about such things, but I'm told the quick way to paint Howling Griffins is you paint the whole thing yellow.
Yeah.
And then you glaze the quarters red. So you haven't got to you just do the whole thing in the yellow. You would do it with airbrush, and then you just glaze the quarters.
That's one approach I'm considering, but I enjoy painting red from a very dark red upwards.
Yeah.
So the skeleton guy that I showed you earlier, I started his cloak practically from black.
Yeah.
And worked it all the way up to a very scarletish bright red at the extremities, and I just enjoy that process of layering red to get that really deep red. Sounds weird, I know, but it's the most satisfying colour for me to paint.
You're getting a bit fast, show. Instead of black, it's red.
Yeah.
Those old people out there, like kids are going like, fast show? What the hell's that?
Black. I've been watching a few fast show clips recently.
Yeah.
Like this season, I will mostly be wearing Dolce & Gabbana. Just every moment of that show is funny. There's not a clip in that show that's not funny. Yeah.
So, I've also been thinking about doing some Primaris, just like a small force for Kill Team or something.
Yeah.
Because the models are so nice.
What would you do? Would you do Dark Angels to go with your old, to tie in with what you used to?
No,
40K?
I've actually packed up my Dark Angels, my 40k ones.
Yeah.
Because they're all small Marines now, so they're out of date.
Well, yeah.
And I put them in storage.
You put them in storage? Wow. But you don't play 40k anymore anyway, do you?
Right, so I've taken a load of the tanks, and I've sorted those out, and I'm going to be selling those.
Yeah.
So who wants these tanks? But I think I would actually like to do some Primaris Celestial Lions.
They're the gold ones with the blue shoulders, right?
Yeah, they were at Battle for Armageddon, almost.
Right. I've seen some other people. I post most of my miniatures, and I'll mention it again later for one of the other questions. I post a lot on DakaDakka, which can be quite some elements of DakaDakka website has a bad reputation, deservedly so. But the bit that I love is the painting and modelling blog section. And there's someone there who does a lot of Celestial Lions, and his are brilliant. His look fantastic. So they can definitely look really good.
Yeah,
so
blue and gold.
Conquest ones. He bought the Conquest ones, and he just subscribed to the series, and just painted them up week by week as they were going. His are brilliant. Yeah, they look fantastic. So,
I'm looking forward to when I've got all my other models painted, so I can take my time with a squad.
How are your piles now?
You would not believe how tiny my piles are. I mean, I've got just my English Civil War stuff to do in 28mm. I think I've got like 5, 6, 7, 8 or so random 28mm models. And my Civil War stuff, and that's it.
That's pretty good.
Some 10mm Celts to do.
Okay.
And a bit of contrast paint, and they'll be done.
Yeah, do you just, I was going to say, with some stuff in that scale, do you just like go over it with a quick blast of contrast and call it done?
Like, yeah, it's perfect for that, because it's the detail that I can't see with my eyes. My old eyes can't see it anyway, so a bit of a wash, you're like, oh, there it is.
And nobody can see it on the table anyway, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
What have I got? I've got a few things in boxes that I won a box of Prussian Napoleonics in a raffle to help the NHS, and I've got a box of American War of Independence stuff that I put to one side in case we ever do French-Indian War. But
I've heard you mention that in another video as well. Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things. I'm a bit like I don't want to get rid of that just in case. Sometimes
it's a box. It's sealed up. It's ready to go. And if I don't, in the future, someone else might. But it's scary, like lockdown, because I'm painting away all the time just to keep myself busy. Like once William's asleep, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll put on. I was about to say Tiger King, but that was like months ago now. I don't watch Tiger King.
That was funny though. That was horrific and scary and funny all in one.
It's every emotion.
Yeah. Oh god, I couldn't. I didn't want to watch it at first, and then I watched one episode and I was like, oh my god, this is just like car crash TV that I have to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Crazy.
So, I want to do some 6mm actually. Some 6mm gaming is my next. I've just painted up
historic stuff.
My epic stuff I just painted because I had it. I was like,
I sent you the Wordbearer stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. There's a podcast called Jaded Gamercast, and that's not around anymore. But every so often, the hosts of that will do a video on their Facebook, on YouTube.
Okay.
And they had a vote to see which was the worst legion of all the legions.
Just generally, or for gaming with,
just like everything. What is the worst?
Just all round worst.
And it was Wordbearers, and I thought
that's not right.
I would like to play as the worst. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be the worst.
Having read the entire Horus Heresy series, I would actually go so far as to say that the worst legion, coming on that basis at least, was probably the Dark Angels. I think they were the worst written legion, unfortunately.
They're not written very well. I mean, I play Dark Angels. They're my favourite.
Yeah.
I actually know that they're actually the best legion.
The Raven Guard weren't great either.
They know about. They're kind of aware of chaos, and they don't trust anyone, and which is good because what happened with Horus. It's probably not good. I could trust Horus. No, I can't. And they good at kicking everyone's butt because they taught everyone else because they were the first legions. They know all the tactics.
Yeah. Have you got far enough to have read the First Heretic and Lorgar and Aurelian and all those? Those books are amazing. Those ones to me transforms the Wordbearers from the worst to one of the most interesting legions.
Moustache villains.
Yeah,
have you heard of the Mandela effect, Russell?
Don't think so. Describe it, and I might have done, but I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Say they remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison, and then of course he didn't. He was released from prison.
That rings a bell.
Prime Minister, isn't it, of South Africa?
I
have a similar thing with Wordbearers.
Yeah.
I remember having a conversation saying, all the Red Marines, they're Corn ones. And someone saying to me, no, look. And they got Slaves to Darkness. And they showed me an army in the back of Slaves to Darkness that was a red one that was Wordbearers. But don't bother going, I looked this up.
Yeah, I can't remember where it is.
It's not in there.
Is it not?
I remember this whole conversation of him showing me like an old 90s warband of Wordbearer guys that weren't. But I went, oh, you're right, they're Wordbearers. They're not specifically Khorne 8. You're right, not all the red ones are Khorne. And I went and looked at my copy just a few days ago, and I went, oh, I'll have a look up. And I got Slaves of Darkness out, and I opened it up and looked in and went, it's not in there. I imagined it. My memory's just, I've imagined a whole article in Slaves of Darkness didn't exist. So it must have been something else somewhere else, I guess.
Yeah, no, because that's now bugged me as well, because I'd swear there was stuff. Yeah. Who knows?
There's a banner. There's one banner that says Wordbearers, and
the banner is what I was thinking of, actually. The one in the middle in the colour section where all the models are as well. That's the main bit I was thinking of. But is that all there is?
It says that the Night Lords are Khorne 8 as well.
That I remember. It does say that the Night Lords are Khorne 8, which I remember thinking the last time I read Slaves to Darkness. They're not in the current fluff.
No, they're changed.
Yeah.
Fluff never changes, of course.
Yeah.
Necrons. Why don't you go and have a little look yourself now? We'll have a little break and see if you can find it.
Yeah, I'll try and figure it out for you.
Excellent.
See you in a minute.
In a bit.
I'm actually going to go and do it though.